Hello and welcome to this video to help explain computer-based exams for F7 financial reporting. In this video we will briefly look at the structure of the computer-based exam for F7. Thereafter we will take a more in-depth look at F7 constructed response or long questions. These are also known as CR questions. You should familiarise yourself with the F7 specimen exam and the additional CR questions available on the ACCA website. Amongst these online resources, there is also a video and a guidance document that will help you familiarise yourself with the objective test item types. Consequently, this video will focus mainly on the CR questions, as these are the questions likely to be different subject to subject. So let's start with the structure of the F7 exam. From September 2016, the CBE F7 exam consists of 3 sections, A, B and C. There are 15 2-mark objective test questions in Section A. Section B contains 3 10-mark objective test cases. Each of these cases have a common scenario with 5 2-mark objective test questions. The 2 20-mark constructed response questions in Section C might sound like they are a new form of question, but they should already be very familiar to you. These are the long-form questions that currently appear in the last section of the F7 exam. Let's look at the F7 constructed response questions in more detail. Constructed response questions require you to use either a blank word processing document or spreadsheet to construct a response. This is very similar to paper-based exams where you record your answer on a blank page in your answer exam booklet. The technical financial reporting knowledge and skills required for CBE are the same as those required in paper-based exams. The constructed response questions in Section C continue to be expert marked in contrast to those in Sections A and B, which are auto-marked. In F7, there are 2 constructed response questions, each containing a scenario which may relate to several requirements. Each F7 constructed response question is worth 20 marks in total. These questions have similar requirements to those in paper-based exams, although the method of answering them is different. The CRs continue to test your ability to answer the question, not your computer skills. There are many CBE features that you will need to familiarise yourself with before you sit your CBE exam. Indeed, some of the CBE functionality can help you to understand the question as well as helping you to answer it. For example, you may wish to use the highlight function situated on the top toolbar to annotate points that you think are important in the question. Alternatively, the strike-through feature can be used to identify information and/or numbers that you have used in the question. Clicking on the highlight option brings up a choice of highlighting colours. Select a colour and then click and drag across the text that you wish to highlight. The strike-through feature works in a similar way. In F7, the highlight feature might be useful to identify key phrases in an interpretation question. You can then use the highlights to plan your answer. Any highlighting will be visible for all requirements related to that scenario. Please note that these features are not available in the specimen exam or the constructed response workspace, but will be available to you in the live exam. Likewise, strike-through can be used to indicate that you have dealt with a figure in a trial balance when preparing the financial statements of a single entity, or you have used a figure in the financial statements of a single entity when preparing group financial statements. This is very similar to what you might already do in a paper-based exam. A constructed response question will present the scenario either on the top or the left of the screen. For F7, the scenario is likely to be on the left of the screen most of the time. The bar used to split the different parts of the screen will be in the middle by default, but can be moved to give more space to either the scenario or to the answer space, as shown here, depending on what you want to see more of. The scratch pad is there for you to make notes, and its contents will remain there for as long as the exam is open. However, nothing in the scratch pad will be seen by the markers, and so for the CR questions, it's better for you to make any notes and workings directly in the word processing document or the spreadsheet response area. One thing that you should be aware of is the reset function, which will reset the response area to its original setting as it removes all of your changes. Don't use this function unless you really want to start the whole response again. A warning message will be used to tell you this, so if you accidentally click this button, you won't immediately lose everything that you've done. If you do accidentally clear your response, you can use the undo function to restore your work. However, given that it's easier to edit Word documents and spreadsheets than it is to change a paper-based answer, it's unlikely that you would need to use the reset function unless in exceptional circumstances. You can access functionality help in the F7 exam by clicking on the Help button in the bottom left-hand corner of the screen. By clicking the Help button in F7, you can access two help screens. One for the help with Word or spreadsheet functionality, or one to give you access to the F7 exam instructions. Simply select the tab that you wish to view to access the required information. You will probably use the word processing response area in F7 to answer interpretation questions. Simply enter your response to the right-hand side of the screen. As mentioned earlier, you can use the highlight function to save yourself some time by identifying significant points in the question and using these points to formulate a plan for your answer. This is demonstrated in the first screenshot here. You can then develop your answer by building on these points and filling them out with some discussion, thereby providing reasons why items are not comparable or why ratios might have changed, as shown in the second screenshot here. Thus, in CBE, your answer can be developed directly from your answer plan, thereby saving you time. Just as for paper-based exams, you should write your answers in full sentences. There are a number of formatting options available to you in this tool, many of which you may be familiar with from your own word processing packages. You should familiarise yourself with the formatting options through the question practice. All of your answers to the constructed response questions are expert marked, so don't spend too long formatting your answers as no marks are available for this. Using the word processing tool means that the marker will be able to read everything you need them to. There is no risk of them not being able to understand your writing. Also, your answer should always look presentable, even after you have made changes during your review. For example, inserting more information or adding another few sentences is easy. Alternatively, you could use the word processing functionality to help you break your answer down into shorter paragraphs with headers. You may also want to use tables available within Word Processing Tool to allow you to present your ratios. The answers to interpretation questions are largely narrative, but it is likely that they will contain numbers. In such questions, the ability to use tables in F7 is useful. You can either present your workings within the table, as shown here, or use the workings outside of the table to show how your ratios have been derived. Either method of presentation is fine. Just ensure that your workings are presented somewhere within the Word document and are referenced appropriately to allow markers to see where they've come from. F7 will probably require you to use spreadsheets to answer questions relating to the preparation of financial statements. When using the spreadsheet response area, you will typically be presented with a blank sheet to begin. This sheet has 80 columns and 200 rows, but you are not able to insert or delete any of these. Therefore, if you wish to move part of your answer to another part of the sheet, you should use the copy and paste function. Remember that it's you who decides how your answer should be presented and how the workings are laid out. As no marks are awarded for formatting or presentation, don't spend too much time on this. However, when presenting financial statements, you may wish to format your numbers so that it is easier for a marker to read. For example, if you use the comma separator and put negative figures in brackets. To do so, highlight the entire spreadsheet and use the Currency Format button to select the option identified above. By selecting this option, the spreadsheet will format numbers as shown in the second screenshot here. When preparing financial statements, you will likely be provided with one spreadsheet to answer more than one requirement. This is because an adjustment in the statement of profit or loss may also have an impact in the statement of financial position. Decide whether your financial statements will be presented along the top of the spreadsheet, as shown here, or down the side. The spreadsheet is big enough to allow you to do either. You can save time if you produce the financial statements at the same time as your workings. In the example used here, the adjustment in the retained earnings for loan issue and finance costs also impacts on the carrying amount of the loan in the statement of financial position. This adjustment is fully explained by working 1. In this example, a marker can easily follow the logic. Make sure that your answer is also easily understood and uses appropriately referenced workings. This spreadsheet tool has been designed specifically for these exams, so it may not be identical to other spreadsheet packages that you might have used. For example, there is no AutoSum function. This is to ensure that students are familiar with entering spreadsheet formula in all circumstances, as shown here. You can also access information about spreadsheet formula in the help resources, accessed using the help button at the bottom left of the screen. A word of warning: the more complex the spreadsheet formula you use, the more likely it is to contain an error, so you may prefer to lay your workings in steps and keep the formula simple. In this example, some formula is used, but simple text is also used to explain where other figures are coming from. Also, there may be a few marks available for commenting on an item in the spreadsheet response, such as explaining how the revaluation of a non-current asset should be treated in accordance with IAS 16. It is unlikely that you will be provided with a separate word processing response area to do this, because you will need to be able to refer to the numbers that you have calculated in the spreadsheet. In such instances, you should type your narrative answer directly into the spreadsheet, as shown in rows 14 and 15 of the screenshot here. An advantage of taking the computer-based exam for F7 is that you can save time when you want to apply a formula across a number of years. For example, when calculating the carrying amount of non-current assets or a finance lease liability. There are a number of ways to do this, including dragging the formula into the required cells using the drag handle in the bottom right-hand corner of the selected cell with the required formula. Alternatively, you could use the copy and paste function to do this. If you want to use spreadsheet formula to answer your question, then that's fine. These questions are expert marked and the marker will be able to see the workings behind the cells. However, you're not required to use spreadsheet formula, and if you would prefer to use a calculator, you can either use your own or the one that's available on screen. This means that you can use the spreadsheet as a blank sheet of paper. Just type in your answer as text. But as with all calculations, you must also show your workings in the spreadsheet. We will end this presentation by looking at the resources available to you to help you prepare for your CBE exam. This slide gives you an overview of the learning support resources available for F5 to F9. The demo resources on the left-hand side are designed to introduce the new exams and give an overview of what the new exam functionality and new question types will be. The interactive resources on the right-hand side are designed to support question practice and also to help you build up the skills necessary to complete the new CBEs. Using the interactive resources regularly will allow you to become familiar with the new exam functionality and will also help you to get used to typing if you don't already do this on a regular basis. A full specimen exam and an extra set of CR questions have been provided as an online resource to give you an indication of the live exam experience. These resources contain solution materials for you to refer to and provide you with an opportunity to practice exam standard content and functionality. They should help you to build confidence with the skills required to complete CBEs. These skills are not that different to those required for paper-based exams and those that you will have developed in the workplace. The Constructed Response Workspace is an online resource that is available to support extra question practice for you. Empty response areas are provided to answer spreadsheet and word processing questions that you should source from question and answer banks or the revision kits of approved content providers. The CR workspace provides you with an opportunity to play around with the spreadsheet and word functionality in a less formal environment. You should use this tool as you would in a live exam to answer questions from approved content provider question and answer banks. It is important for students taking F7 by CBE to undertake question practice, especially with the spreadsheet tool, to familiarise yourself with the available functionality. So please make use of the CBE specimen exam and extra constructed response questions, as well as the constructed response workspace, and practice completing questions to time to give you the best preparation possible for the F7 exam. This brings us to the end of the video. I hope that you have found it useful and wish you the very best of luck with your ACCA journey.